So everyone, Pasi is CEO and co-founder of Solar Foods. He sends his apologies that he cannot attend this event in person today, but he has prepared a lovely recording for us. So here it is.
Good afternoon. I regret for not making it to the live stream event. I'm Pasi, CEO and one of the founders of Solar Foods. Solar Foods is here to disconnect food production from agriculture. When that happens, there are several benefits. There are environmental benefits, there are price benefits, and security of supply benefits. We founded the company about 30 months ago, and since a year and a half, we've been operating the first food from air pilot facility, continuously producing single-cell protein. We raised our Series A in the autumn and now are starting the construction of our first commercial factory, although small one, that we call the demo. With that, we go to the market, including European Union, in early 2023. Our real target is go to and reach what we call a factory scale. That is a factory that produces about 10,000 tons of single-cell protein per year. The production cost estimate for the first factory, if invested in this case in Finland, is about €4 per kilogram on 100% protein basis. The technology what we use on higher level is actually quite simple. We're using or taking advantage only the diversity of life. We have a natural curing organism that we have screened from environmental samples. We are growing and harvesting this organism with a technology called gas fermentation. Our business model is B2B, to provide a protein-rich ingredient for the food industry. What happens in the technology is that in gas fermentation, like in winemaking, we also have a fermenter. In winemaking, you have a sugars liquid that yeast eats for carbon and energy. But in our gas fermentation technology, we feed the organism hydrogen instead of sugars. Hydrogen we make with electricity by splitting water, and the energy in electricity is charged in the chemical form of hydrogen and fed in the fermenter. CO2 is the source of carbon for the organism. We are operating a direct air capture plant for CO2. It's actually not that complex, neither expensive technology that makes us free of time and space. When we say food out of thin air, it is 95% true, because we do need there at the bottom some inorganic nutrients. Those nutrients, about 20 different kinds of elements and salts, those that plants typically take from the soil through roots. We run this process continuously, let the media grow thicker of the organism, continuously feeding, continuously remove the product liquid, separate, dry, and pack our powder. So Solein, our single-cell protein, are the whole cells themselves that happen to be about 65% protein, and complete protein, including and containing all the essential amino acids. It's worthwhile actually checking this video publicly available on the YouTube, where our CTO Juha-Pekka walks you through at our pilot facility. So we end up with a powder like this. I said about 65% protein, complete protein, high in iron, vitamin B, and also high in carotenoids that turn to vitamin A in our body. How we plan to use this ingredient? First, we go to market as a B2B ingredient for mostly plant-based food industry, whether it's plant-based dairy or plant-based meat alternatives. We can provide the animal-like nutrition and amino acids in these plant-based products. We're also looking forward to the future. We're developing a growth media based on our ingredient. That means that when the cultured meat companies break through to the market, and if we would produce all the meat in the future with these technologies, we would need a lot of feed, not for the animals, but for the cell factories. Therefore, it's quite important to develop sustainable sources of media, energy, proteins and amino acids for that technology to scale. This also includes another path that we're looking at, which is to modify our organism to express specific molecules, for example, like proteins to the media. Therefore, instead of just producing a protein-rich ingredient and powder, we see this as a platform technology that can take different routes in the future. But first, we plan to be a B2B non-modified protein-rich ingredient for the food industry. How we position Solein, basically it's important to understand how the food system works on a higher level. In this case, this chart is for the European Union. Left, some primary outputs from agriculture, ending up to the right to food products, which are basically composites. So from the left, some calories and products enter the food system. Some of the calories go through a concept what we call the animal, turning into animal-like products, and going to the right, ending up all these ingredients from initially from agriculture, ending up to composites like sandwich, where you have grain part, you have slice of cheese, slice of tomato, maybe a slice of meat, and a spread, which is again a composite of many of these flows. How we see the future is that a lot is happening in the space where the existing food flows and calories are turned in a simpler or more complex way to replace something in the animal flow. How we differ is that Solein, our ingredient, is kind of a new primary ingredient that appears in the food flow, in the food system, and basically also vanishes into the food products without, on the right-hand side, consumer really noticing a difference in the actual end product and food application. Because we disconnect from agriculture, we don't need arable land, so there are no indirect land use effects. We don't use fertilizers on all open land. We don't use pesticides, and so on. Therefore, our climate environmental footprint is very minimal. We're bold to say this might be the most environmentally friendly food there is, providing the electricity that we use to run our electrolyzer and hydrogen production is carbon neutral. There we are happy to enjoy the price decline, especially in solar and wind. We are also starting from solar insolation, including, for example, electricity production based on solar PV, and then turning that to hydrogen and turning that to biomass and food. Still, if you look at the whole cycle, we are about 10 times more efficient per hectare compared to plant-based protein and plant-based species, including a process what we call photosynthesis. Therefore, if we go to desert to produce our ingredient and free the current agricultural land and let that grow back to forest, actually our gift to the society is a carbon negative technology. Our future factories can look like this. This is ideologically now located in the middle of desert, including the factory itself, solar PV field needed to run this factory, and direct air capture for CO2, water, and also nitrogen. We have actually calculated what this would mean for the planet. You can find this visualization on our website solarfoods.fi/map, where we have solar insolation and wind speed at 150 meters for every 50 kilometers squared on the planet. And based on this solar and wind resource, actually we can run our protein factories that we've let this model also to calculate. So basically, solar insolation and wind speed turn to protein, and we've calculated how much this would cost for every coordinate of the planet basically. You can turn on this tool the food map off, then food map of today, basically the hectare yield of the current agricultural land, and the future view, which is our price estimate for Solein production for the whole planet. We have produced the first food products, including our ingredient. Instead of just meat, we're looking actually in a quite holistic way all the food categories. Of course, meat alternatives are there and that we are looking at, cheese-alike products in different kinds of food applications. And plant-based dairy is actually quite important, very attractive market for us. The yogurt platform, what we can provide is actually really, really promising. And also including bread. Bread is an interesting, of course, global concept. And it's an interesting vision for the future to have bread that has the similar texture as before, but it has the proteins of meat and vitamins of carrot in it. Also granolas, sweets, and different kinds of applications we're looking at. Therefore, we're looking at the go-to-market in several categories in a couple of years. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. I hope you all enjoyed Pasi's presentation.